Yo, what is up, guys? So we're going to be going over the best cards that you can get out of the new set Dark Saviors, basically going over the money cards in the set. Now, we're just 3 days after its launch, and I waited a few days for this video because there is a lot of apparent short prints. You know how sometimes we get short prints that can change the price, but in fact some cards actually went up in price. But anyways, if you guys didn't know what's in the set, basically there's 3 different new archetypes, and I actually have gameplay of all of them if you guys want to check them out. So there is, instead of the Brandish Maidens, they're now called the Sky Strikers. So this is basically the best one. It's probably one of the best decks in the game right now. But basically you have like one card, and you're going to basically go straight into like one link monster. The whole archetype spell and traps are absolutely amazing, which you guys will see in just a second. And then there's also the new cards. Oh gosh, they're calling these the For Hires, which was formerly known as the Skyfang Brigade, which was the new pirate archetype. They're all about just swarming the board and basically just winning the game. They're actually not too bad. They're actually an okay deck. And then lastly we have the Vampires, and the Vampires, I just feel like they're a little bit lackluster. Like, it's better vampire support, but at the end of the day I don't think Vampires have really much of a chance to be very meta. There's actually a pretty good Exceed, which I'll talk about in a second, but first off, let's get into the first money card. Now, keep in mind, these prices that I'm mentioning right now are all as of right now, this second. Obviously, a few days later, they can change. But Sky Striker Mobilize Engage was actually sitting at about $90, but it's gone up in price. We're actually over $100. In fact, there's hardly any if you go on eBay right now. And the card is true for like 105s, 110s, even are selling as completed listings. So basically, over $100 is probably like the accurate price point, but it's definitely over $100. But anyways, the whole archetype is all about having 3 or more spells in your graveyard, and then you get a bonus effect. The reason why Sky Strikers are so good, you can run this in almost anything. So its effect is, if you control no monsters in your main monster zones, you get to add 1 Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand, except for itself. And then if you have 3 more spells in your graveyard, you can draw 1 card. So a lot of people are playing things like Toon Table just to go straight through all the cards. However, you can brick with Toon Table if you open up too many. Especially if you're also playing like another card that you'd be using in like a tune, well, the match for the tunes. But overall, it does make the deck much better, and you can mitigate the neg one that you'd be going with it anyways, with the tune tables, that is. But it basically gives you, all the effects will have like bonus effects if you have 3. Again, this is like the $100 card. Now the next card is amazing. This is Widow Incre. It's a quick play. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you get to target 1 effect monster on the field. You get to negate that effect until the end of the turn. Then if you have 3 more spells in your graveyard, you get to take control over that monster. Now this card is about $45 to $50 at the moment of me making this. So yeah, we're talking Snatch Steal, plus on top of that you have the ability to negate a monster's effect. 2 of the cards that are in every like build that I've seen that in the OCG that has done successful competitive play, they're maxing out on these because these are the best cards. And even when you're playing a deck that's mixing in the Sky Strikers, both of these cards are required at pretty much 3. And there are people that play like, you know, the destruction card of like back row and like the monster too. I've seen builds that have played multiples of those, but these are like the ones that you definitely want to be playing. And then also Afterburner over here, this is the card I was talking about. There are different numbers on this, but the other ones are definitely 3-ofs. Then we have Maneuver Afterburner. So this is about $15 as of right now. And if you control no monsters, you get a target a face-up monster, destroy it, and then if you have 3 or more, you can destroy a spell or trap on the field. So this one, it's just a +1, gets rid of a monster, and on top of that, again, keep in mind, all these cards are like searchable, which makes the deck super consistent. But anyways, yeah, like I said, this one's about $15 at the moment. And next up we have the Beat Bladesman For Hire. So as far as the archetype goes, I'm just going to recommend you guys to check out the gameplay, which I'll show you gameplay of all of them. Again, they'll all be linked down below. But the For Hires are the Skyfang Brigades. It's the same thing, just the name changed. But anyways, how this whole archetype works is when you, you know what kind of reminds me of is Yosendris or 6 Samurais. It's like, so a lot of the small monsters have the effect during your main phase when you can special summon another For Hire monster from your hand except for itself. And if a For Hire is special summoned from your field while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you have to add 1 monster for hire from your deck to your hand, except for itself. So this one lets you basically search out everything. It's one of the more expensive for hire cards. We're sitting at about 10 bucks at the moment. I mean, the whole archetype can be built, I want to say probably around like $100. And I want to say because it's probably not going to do too well, like as in like, I mean, it's not a bad deck, but I think that, like, you know, if there's not that many tops with it, all right, maybe we'll see one or two here or there. But if there's not too many, that you could probably pick up the entire archetype for probably like $50-ish. But it's not a bad archetype at all. It's just that when you compare it to like tier 1, it's not on the same level as, again, the Sky Strikers. Next up we have the Mayhem for hire. So this is a quick play that lets you target a for hire monster in graveyard and special summon it. You can only activate it one of them per turn. But the whole archetype is based around summoning this monster to summon this monster. There's also ones where it's like when you normal summon this, you get an additional summon. Basically, it's basically swarm the entire board. And this card just gives you an extra monster. And while you control another for hire, when they're summoned, you get some type of bonus effect. In fact, we'll go over like one of the best cards in the archetype in just a second here, which is only $1. So most of the cards that we're going over, by the way, guys, are secret rare, but there are short prints. That's why certain cards are more expensive than others. But next card up this is not really necessarily like a money card, but it's still definitely like a decent card. Obviously, it works well in vampires, but you can run this in like anything. So this is Dhampir Vampire Sheridan. So it's 2 level 6 monsters. And by the way, this card is like $1 to $2 right now, so it's really cheap. I don't think it's going to really go up in price. It's just because Sky Strikers are going to be the best archetype, and people are going to be opening up a lot of boxes. So most of these things, I want to say, that aren't Sky Striker will go down in just wait like a week, and they'll be like a lot cheaper. But anyways, Dhampir Vampire Sheridan has the effective. If you use a monster or monsters with a level that is owned by your opponent for the exceed summon of this card, you get to treat it as level 6. Once per turn, you can detach material from this card, target one card your opponent controls, send to the graveyard. Then once per turn, if a monster or monsters is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard by a card effect or is destroyed by battle and sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can detach one material from this card, especially one of those monsters, to your field in defense position. So basically, you're using your opponent's stuff. That's kind of cool. Realistically, in games, how many games are going to be pulling this out in, you know, any deck? Might not be the most common, but it's still just a really great card. It's still one of the best cards in the set for, of course, vampires as well as just other things. Now, this is interesting. Raphael, the for hires, or the Skyframe Brigades. I think Skyframe Brigade was better. Hold on. Important thing. I want you guys to comment down below. What name do you like better? When I heard the name the for hires, I was just like, dude, who's making these names? Totally awesome. All right. Anyways, so this is one of the best cards. Again, a lot of the smaller monsters will summon the bigger monsters in the archetype, and it's all about just swarming the board. But the Raphael has the effect of, if it's spell summoned, you get to excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of for hire you control with different names except for itself. And if you do, add one of them to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back in the deck. And then when your opponent activates a monster effect, you get to discard one card. You can discard one, it says one card for hire. Negate the activation. You can only use the effect of it once per turn. So basically this lets you negate stuff, and it's one of the best cards in the archetype. You can OTK quite often in this deck, but it is a deck that's kind of fragile. Like, if you lose out your first summon, there's very little like other play that you can do in the deck. Obviously with one of their cards, the for hire, the Mayhem for hire, you're able to kind of get another monster out. I wouldn't say it's the best deck for like top decking or comebacks, like, you know, Sky Strikers. They are by far the best. Now, other small little reprints that were actually in the set that aren't like specific to the archetype, they're not very expensive in the first place anyways. So we're looking at Allure of Darkness, we're looking at Armageddon Knight. These are like, you know, $1 here and there. You know, these are still like one of the better reprints here. We also got Plague Spreader. We also got Dark Grepher. A lot of just dark support in general. Pretty nice to have. This is the first actual like card that I think is actually nice. In fact, in the English, we already had it, or we're getting it, I guess, in the Layer of Darkness structure type, but it already got printed in the Mega 10 anyways. It's only $1, but it's still, like, again, one of like these better $1 cards. There's also Scapegoat. It's probably not not like that big of a deal because Scapegoat's got printed I don't know how many times. Hold on, I want to actually check this out. So like look how many times we had Scapegoat, but it is still like technically like a decent little card here. But that's pretty much it for the set. There's really nothing else that like you can get to actually like support like anything else. There is also Tune Table of Contents is also like a $2 card. That card is actually worthy of mentioning because obviously it works quite well in here. It just feels like they just threw in Tune Table of Content because it super works with it. But there's also some like the Mirror Force cards. There's Drowning Mirror Force, and then there's also regular Mirror Force. But overall, I would say that you're probably not going to be using this set to invest into, unless, of course, you're playing Sky Strikers. And a question that usually I get asked when I make these videos is, do I think the set is worth investing into? At the moment, as of like right now, this second, apparently it's like 1 out of every 2 to 3 boxes you'll get an engage. So what this means is, if you pull an engage, your box was worth it. If you do not pull one, then you're probably going to go negative a little bit, depending on like what you pull. Now, there's really not too many cards. If you don't pull Incre or Engage, 100% you're going minus with the entire box because that's the only thing that people really want. The rest of the cards, yeah, this card is $10, yeah, this card is $10, but if you wait like a couple days even, I think these cards are all going to go down to like $5 to $3 easily because if they don't top, that's also another more thing. If like, you know, there's a bunch of fur hires, they top in everywhere, then of course the deck will maintain a little bit more value. But I still think that this deck, it's not terrible, but I think that there are better options, and without a doubt, Sky Strikers are the best archetype. But anyways, if you guys want to see any gameplay of any of these decks before you maybe make that purchase, I have gameplay of all of them, and I'll link them, and I'll also pin them in the comment section below. But let me know, guys, what you thought of the Dark Savior set. What cards, if you felt like I missed on any, were also in the best cards in Dark Saviors. Money cards are just, like you said, good little like reprints to have, because sometimes cards get old. I know Scapegoat, I've seen people use Scapegoats that were like super old, but for the most part, those are usually in good condition. But I don't think we've got any insane reprints. I think we really should have gotten just a few cards that helped out, just other stuff that would be nicer for people that aren't interested in building these 3 decks. And even if you're trying to build these 3 decks, if you want to build the Skyfame Brigade, aka the Fur Hires, then don't buy the box. Just buy the cards individually. They're going to be like a couple dollars. In fact, like most of the vampire cards, like $1 or under. The only thing that's expensive is the Sky Strikers. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion videos as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! Advice. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I am signing out.